something that kind of dawned on me while we were going through this is that some of our very gracious volunteers who are willing to do these meetings may not have a little bit of the background about the anchoring limitation areas, and our continued, kind of our mantra here is no new legislation is needed. So just, I think maybe adding a little bit of framework to that might help, not as something you need to necessarily tell these legislators or their aides, but for your own understanding of the issue. As CJ presented back in 2021, 2022, we were instrumental in getting these anchoring limitation areas, getting that statute written. And it was really viewed as almost a compromise legislation, because prior to that, there were some places on the books that overnight anchoring was outright banned. And year after year, we were fighting back, more towns and more counties trying to add anchorages to this list of where overnight anchoring was banned. That, of course, is not acceptable to cruisers. We need to be able to anchor overnight. So anchoring limitation areas, it gives the towns and the counties the teeth to get rid of the derelict vessels, which is really truly the issue, but allows cruisers to anchor where they need. And that is because an anchoring limitation area allows you to anchor there for 45 days before there's an issue. And that is really the key to the anchoring limitation areas. Cruisers can use that anchorage. Most active cruisers are not going to want to stay for anywhere near 45 days before moving on. So this is the solution. This gets rid of the sinking and abandoned vessel that's outside a homeowner's house that they don't want to see, but allows cruisers to actively cruise. So, we kind of got that passed in 2021, I believe it was, and kind of, round of applause, and continued to follow it. And we're kind of frustrated last year when new bills were introduced to add more places to the list where overnight anchoring was banned. And that section of the code was actually grandfathered as part of the anchoring limitation area code. So, I don't think you need to tell them, don't introduce a bill that bans overnight anchorage. But that's essentially what we're trying to prevent by being a little bit proactive about this, by giving them that mantra that let these ALAs work. Last year we narrowly defeated these bills that would have added more anchoring bans. And frankly, I suspect there were some legislators that were not real happy that we had some success there. The bottom line is we're expecting them to come for that again. And if we can do our due diligence here and kind of, explain on the front end before bills are filed that all of this legislation exists, as CJ laid out in her PowerPoint, that's what's needed. And one of the things I've learned in the years that I've been doing this with our lobbyist, and that Kingsley, very succinctly explained in his run through there, is these legislators are doing their best to work through a host of issues that in a lot of cases is not something they've known a lot about before. Ultimately, they are trying to solve a problem for their constituents. So none of them are going in there saying, I just want to ban anchoring just because we can. They're looking to solve a problem that someone has presented to them. And that's why it's really important to ask them, as Kingsley said, like what they're hearing from their constituents that might be a problem. Because what I've learned from our lobbyist is the legislator wants to solve a problem. If we can give them a different solution to the problem, everybody wins. So this is almost a fact-finding, evangelizing the idea that legislation exists, making them our friend and knowing that we're a resource to help with this.